Let's knit this gorgeous baby blanket featuring delicate dragonflies and hearts. I'll show you exactly how. I'm going to show you step by step exactly how to make this sweet treasure of a baby blanket. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what skill level this project requires, the yarn and supplies you need to complete it, how to make beautiful sample swatches, where to purchase the pattern, and free bonus, how to make a blanket out of the sample swatches. This is an advanced easy project using the thread lace technique. It's easy because if you know how to cast on, knit, and purl stockinette plus bind off, that's the total physical skill level necessary. The challenge becomes working with two yarns held together, one a sport weight, the other a fingering yarn, working most stitches holding both yarns together, and knitting only the fingering yarn where designated. This is what creates the delicate lacy look. This is a 30-inch long blanket, and that means a lot of stitches on the needles and dozens of rows. It also means learning to read photographs as well as written instructions to make it successfully. This tutorial, demonstrating exactly how to knit the dragonfly and heart swatches, sets you up perfectly to master the actual blanket. Plus, as promised, we'll talk about alternatively simply making several small swatches and just crocheting them together in patchwork to make any size blanket you desire. Now, if you're more interested in making a baby blanket with butterflies or angels, click the eye in the upper right-hand corner or click the link in the description below. And machine knitters, catch the link in the description below to all these same patterns adapted to the Brother bulky knitting machine. Okay, on to our Dragonflies project. For supplies, you're going to need loops and threads, Snuggly Wuggly baby sport yarn, or Lion brand Pound of Love is great too. You'll need Tamm Estilo cone fingering yarn, scissors, and size H or 5mm crochet hook. You can get all of these items at your local craft store except the cone yarn, or online, and I've placed links in the description below for how to get that cone yarn. Now, the cone yarn costs a bit. However, it would make at least 5 of these blankets, and probably more, so that it ends up costing you no more per blanket, really, than the baby sport costs. So think about sharing the cone yarn with your knitting group, and the bunch of you could get cracking on these thread lace blankets and have a wonderful time knitting for a cause. Now that you know the supplies list, want to make something faster than a blanket with these dragonflies? Make a dog sweater or baby sweater instead, and you can find the links to those patterns in both hand and machine knitting in the description below. This is the test swatch we're going to make. Starting with the heart, we'll work on up into the dragonfly. See the pretty lacy see-through effect. Holding both yarns together, the sport weight baby and the fingering yarn, make your slip knot for casting on using US 8 or 5mm knitting needles. Cast on 27 stitches. Our first 4 rows are simply stockinette stitch. That means knit a row, purl a row, knit a row, purl a row. So we begin. And as we all know, the first couple of rows are kind of challenging. You'll notice that I'm the odd bird who knits in the back of the stitch rather than, as is commonly seen, coming up through the front. I just find coming in through the back is more comfortable for me, and the added bonus is all the purl rows following, I should say all the knit rows following, will be set up at a little bit of an angle rather than straight across bars as is typically seen, which makes it even more convenient to access the back of the stitch. not being the most efficient knitter perhaps, as far as throwing the yarn goes and going real fast, I do save myself a little bit of time that way, I feel like. But you do what you prefer. So go ahead, knit, purl, your first 4 rows, and we'll get back for row 5 in a moment. Okay, row 5, and time to start making the heart. Remember, the heart looks like this. And we begin by knitting 13 stitches. When we get dead center, we're going to do something called TLO, which means thread lace only. And that's when we'll be just picking up the thread lace and knitting with that, or purling in subsequent rows and going forward. So let's knit our first 13 stitches together. We accomplished those 13 stitches. Now it's time to do just the thread lace only. So insert your needle, and no matter where the thread lace seems to be coming from, whether over top or bottom of the sport yarn, just take it, throw it, and knit with it. Then we'll knit the next 13 stitches as before with both yarns. Just knit. Taking care to watch your tension, and that's all it is, folks. Now, I want to point out before I forget, remember how I was going to tell you that when I knit in the back of a stitch, it kind of sets the rows up so that the stitches are more at an angle for me to easily access, I feel like. So let me just demonstrate that as we go to the end of the row. When we're doing the heart, all purl rows are exactly as you did on the knit row. So let's begin to purl our next row, which is the 6th row. We're on row 6. And again, we'll purl 13, thread lace only 1 with a purl, and then another 13. Let's begin. Here we are at the center stitch, and we're just going to knit with thread lace only. I should say purl right into the knit stitch below. And resume knitting with both yarns for the remainder of the row. Row 7. This time knit 12. Then we'll thread lace 1 time, knit 1, thread lace 1 time, and then knit 12. Here we go. Thread lace only into the next stitch, the 13th stitch. It takes a little bit to get the rhythm of throwing the thread lace only yarn. Then we're going to knit with both yarns in the dead center stitch. Then once again, thread lace only, and knit 12 to the end of the row. Now for some row 8 action, which is just a repeat of the row we did before. So, we just purled 12. We will now copy what we see with the purl thread lace in the thread lace below. Purl 1, thread lace 1, and 12 purls to the end of the row. As we begin to start row 9, we see a little bit of results from our thread lace action. Some pretty little open work here. Now on row 9 we're going to knit 11. Then we're going to thread lace 3 times interspersed with knits. You can see we did thread lace twice before on the row before. This time we want to thread lace 3 times, beginning now on the 12th stitch. Knit 1, thread lace once. For the second time, knit 1, thread lace for the third time. Then knit those 11 to the end of the row. Row 10, a purl row, just copy what you did the row below. So, purl 11, continue on copying all the thread lace stitches from the row below. Purl 11 to the end of the row. See how we're finally getting results that can be seen for our little heart? We can see a little V starting to form here. Beginning row 11 now, a knit row, and we're going to knit 10 stitches and then intersperse 4 thread lace only with knit 1 and then end with 10. We just knit 10, thread lace the first one, knit 1, thread lace the second one, knit 1, thread lace the third one, thread lace the fourth one, knit 10 to the end of the row. Here's how it's beginning to look on the wrong side of your work, or the back side. Actually, a lot of people prefer this side to this side. So, there's no such thing as the wrong side and the right side with this pattern, apparently. All right, copy what you did before for this purl row. And now 4 interspersed thread lace over. Make sure you're getting in the true thread lace stitch. Sometimes you can be fooled and think you're in the right stitch as you get used to doing this. Like right now, you can almost think that this singular stitch belongs to this. It doesn't. Just have to get used to identifying what it is that you're really looking at. And here's the last one. And 10 to the end. Rows 13 and 14 are the last of our heart pattern. So starting row 13, we're going to knit 11. After the 11th stitch in the 12th, do a thread lace only. Then knit the next 3 with both yarns. 1, 2, that's the very center stitch, 3, do a thread lace only, and now knit those 11 stitches. Row 14, let's copy what we did below and purl 11 stitches. Thread lace only the 2 times with 3 in between both yarn. That was the 3rd one. The 2nd thread lace only. Purl 11 to the end. And we're done with the heart. It's still going to be a few rows up before we see the total result, so go ahead and knit another 4 to 6 rows in stockinette. Then either bind off, because we're going to start a new swatch with the dragonfly, or if you want to continue on and feel like you can follow the row numbers that way, then do so. So, back in a moment when we have 4 rows stockinette stitch knitted. See, is that not a beautiful result? I actually ended up putting 6 rows above the heart before we slide on into the dragonfly. But now you see how you can make this beautiful heart. Okay, revisiting what the dragonfly looks like. It starts out very easy. The first 12 rows are very easy. All you're doing is the TLO in the very center for 12 rows. So let's begin that process. Row 5 begins with 13 stitches, 1 TLO, and ends with 13 stitches. Go for it. Here we are at the very center stitch of row 5. Thread lace only. Then resume with both yarns for the rest of the row. Row 6, same thing, only purl-wise. Row 6, purl TLO in the middle, and knit your 13, that is, purl your 13 to the end. Row 7, do the same as row 5. Knit to the middle, TLO, knit to the end. 13. I'm at the middle stitch, TLO 1, right over the TLO from the row before, and knit the remaining 13. Row 8's a little different. I'm going to purl over every single stitch with both yarns, including over the center TLO from the row below. Here I am at the center TLO from the row below, and I'm just with both yarns going to purl right through it and continue on to the end with both yarns. Not a lot to see yet for the first 4 rows of pattern. You can see just a little bit of tail, dragonfly trail, and you're going to repeat this sequence of 4 rows twice more until you've finished through the 16th row. And that sequence of 4 rows is 3 rows are always doing a TLO in the middle, and on the 4th row, a purl row, just purling right over everything with both yarns. See you at the end of row 16. We're about to start row 17 now, and it's going to get a little challenging making the dragonfly wings, but we've had a lot of practice with the pretty heart and with the dragonfly tail. So let's get started with knitting 8 before we start to do some fancy TLOs. So Knit 8, and I'll see you in a moment. Having knit the 8, we're now going to TLO twice in a row. So there's one, there's the second. Then we're going to knit 3. 1, 2, 3. Next is a TLO 1. There it is. Next is a knit 3. Next is a TLO 2. There's the first, the second, and then finish out the row with knitting 8. On the dragonfly wings, the purl rows aren't necessarily going to be mimicking the knit rows below. So let's go to row 18 now, where we will purl 6, and after 6, catch up with me. Having purled those 6, it's time to TLO twice, purlwise, TLO once, TLO twice, now we're going to purl 2, TLO 1, purl 2, TLO 1 again, and we should be dead center. Purl 2. Now we're just mirroring back what we already did. Purl 2, TLO 1. Purl 2. Come on, purl 2, that's the second one. TLO 2 in a row. There's the first one, second one, and finish out with your 6 purls. Okay? Row 19 begins with knitting 5. I'll see you after the 5th stitch. After those 5 stitches, TLO 1. Then knit 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, TLO 1, knit 1, TLO 1, and we should be right in the middle. And then just mirror that back with a knit 1, TLO 1, knit 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. TLO 1, and end with the knit 5. Row 20 begins with 4 purls. I'll see you after that 4th purl. After the 4 purls, TLO 1, now purl 7. See, I almost made an error there. I almost shoved this TLO from the row below in with the next purl. So just be careful. I need to purl my first of 7 over that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, TLO 1, take your time, and then we should be dead center now with this purl 1. TLO 1, purl 7, carefully, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, TLO 1, and finish with the 4 purls. Row 21 begins with 4 knits. See you after the 4th knit. After the 4th stitch, TLO 1, then knit 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Should be in the center here now by doing this TLO 1. Do another knit 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The last TLO 1 and finish out with 4 knits. Row 22 begins with 5 purls. See you after the 5th purl. After that 5th purl, set yourself up to TLO 2. 1, 2. Then purl 2. Another TLO 2. There's the first one. There's the second one. Purl 2. TLO1, and that should be the center. Purl 2. TLO2. There's the first, there's the second. Purl 2. TLO2 again. And finish out with 5 purls. Row 23, knit 7, and we'll carry on from there in just a moment. After the 7, TLO2. 1, 2, knit 2, TLO2 again, one, two, knit 1, and this will be the center. TLO2, knit 2, TLO2 again, and knit the remaining 7. Row 24, start with 5 purls. Having done that, TLO2. Then purl 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. TLO1, which is dead center. Now, purl another 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, TLO2. Oops. Sport yarn trying to get in on the edge. That was the second one, and we're left with our remaining 5 purls. See how the lower wings on the dragonfly have nicely taken shape. Now all we have to do is the upper wings and the head, and we'll be done. So let's start row 25 with 4 knits. 4 knits in, we come to TLO1. Then we knit 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. a TLO1, make center. Knit another 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, a final TLO1, and then our remaining 4. Row 26, purl 4. 4 purls later, we TLO1, then purl 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Do a TLO2, first one, second one, purl 1 right in the center, TLO2, purl 6 now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Do the last TLO1, and you're left with the remaining 4 purls. Row 27, start out with 5 knits. After the 5 knits, do a TLO2, 1, 2, knit 2, TLO2 again, knit 5, 1, 2, this third stitch is the very middle, 3, 4, 5, TLO2, knit 2, TLO2, and you're left with the remaining 5. 28 starts out with 7 purls. Time for a TLO2 after those 7. 1, 2. Now purl 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do a TLO1, which is the middle. Purl 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. TLO2. And purl up the last 7. Row 29 is easy. Knit 13, TLO1 right in the middle, and then knit 13. See you at the end of this row. Row 30. Purl 12, and I'll see you in a minute. After 12 purls, go ahead and TLO 1, purl 1, TLO 1, and purl those remaining 12. Row 31, do the same thing. Knit 12, TLO 1, knit 1, TLO 1, knit 12. See you at the end of the row. Final row of the dragonfly pattern is row 32, purl 13, TLO 1, purl 13. Here we are at the end of the line. We made it. This swatch looks every bit as good as this swatch does. You could continuously make any number of swatches and then crochet them together into a giant blanket or the size that you desire, or you could just keep going in long strips like this, alternating the heart with the dragonfly until you got as long as you wanted to. Yes, you sure could. And alternatively, you could make different color strips and crochet them together along the side as wide as you'd like to go. Right. These are the ideas I have in mind for you to use with your samples. Otherwise, you can visit my Etsy shop for the blanket that we're going to work on now, which is the full-size 30-inch long blanket. We're going to take that finished piece and I'll show you how to shell crochet all the way around the edge. Look at the sweet blanket now that we're finished with all that knitting. This is going to become that generous 29 to 30-inch long blanket, especially once we have shell crocheted around the edge, which is what I'm going to show you next. All right, with your size H or 5mm crochet hook, make your slip knot. And by the way, you're going to want to be familiar with single crochet, half double crochet, and double crochet. Then find the top right corner of the blanket. You're at the bind off corner. Count 3 stitches in. On the third, insert your needle. Third stitch in. We're still utilizing 2 yarns together. You're going to like the look best if you continue to use both yarns rather than just one. The color change will be disappointing, I think. All right, single crochet and then skipping 2 stitches in the third, yarn over, and I like half double crochets just because it goes a little faster. You can make 5 double crochets, certainly. 3, 4, 5. Now, skip 2 stitches, and in the third, single crochet. Yarn over, skip 2, get in the third, right there. And make your 5-stitch shell. 3, 4, 5. Okay, I'm smack dab at the top of the middle, and I just like to make sure when I get to the middle that indeed my single crochet matches up perfectly with the top of the dragonfly or exactly in between the hearts here for perfect spacing. And it's always a good idea to look back periodically and make sure that you alternated your single crochets with your shell. You can sometimes get absorbed in what you're doing and accidentally do 2 crochets in a row or 2 shells in a row. So do yourself a favor and just look back every now and then. I'll meet you over here at the corner. We'll turn that corner and see how to contend with the sides. As you near the corner, you'll have your last cluster, okay? Then you're just going to skip one stitch, do your single crochet, skip that tiny stitch right there, and right here is going to be your corner where you're going to yarn over and sort of get the needle inserted. Get your hook inserted there as best you can, and now make 7 in your cluster. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which will turn the corner nicely for you. Okay? That's about how that's going to turn out. If you feel like making 2 more is going to be better, do it. All right, let's turn the corner and I'll show you how to contend with all these little areas. Where are we going to put the crochet hook into? I mean, we had all the guidance of the bind off stitches up top and we will at the bottom, but on the sides, that is a different beast, isn't it? Okay, so I'm having very good luck leaving about 5 stitches in between each hook piercing. So I just made a shell here and I'm counting. Let's see if I can. I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then piercing my hook right about there. I'm not being terribly fussy about it because it is hard to see. But let's do it again. So we know we're in that one. Count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and having yarned over, insert the crochet hook there and make your cluster. 3, 4, 5. Now again, count 1. See, there's a tiny one there that I count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Insert hook. All right, so I mentioned skipping every 5 and hitting it on the 6th, right? Well, I didn't at the beginning. I only skipped about 3. And so it stands to reason that down here at the end of this side, I'll only be skipping about 3 to make my last single crochet. Roughly. And then I'm going to turn a corner right now and make 7 half double crochets right about there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then I'm really only going to skip 1 before I make my single crochet, and then I'll resume skipping the 2 like I did at the top. Now we're at the bottom where it'll be easy again. And let's just see how many did we end up putting on the side here. This is a good instance for me to look back and see if I didn't double up on anything. Without counting the turning 7, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Looks like 15 or so clusters will serve you well. If you end up with 16 or maybe even a few more, it would be all right, wouldn't it? You probably don't want fewer because that will stretch it too taut. All right, I am going to meet you at the very end after I get the bottom done here and the other challenging side, but I know what I'm doing, right? So I'll show you the end result shortly. Just completed my 4th corner. I'm back at the very beginning. All I need to do is slip stitch into that very first chain 1 we made at the beginning. And that's the end of it. What I'll do now is weave in my ends, but because this wants to roll this edge, as will happen with knitting, I'm going to give it a soft press, yes, with my iron. I am going to just tap the iron across the entire edge of this and get it out nice and flat. Now, if you don't crochet or don't want to crochet, you could opt to adapt your pattern to begin and end with garter stitch or seed stitch, and the same for the sides. You need to be a little bit experienced to be able to adapt your pattern that way, but then it would lay flat without your having to do the press or the crochet edge. Final reveal, all finished, and what a sweet confection of a glad knitter you have created. Really good job. Hey knitters, if you enjoyed this video, let me know it by hitting the like button below, and as long as you're down there, click subscribe. Now, go purchase this pattern in my Etsy shop at the link in the description below and make yourself a sweet confection of a glad knitter.